Hello guys, welcome. Today we'll start JavaScript session 3. If you have not watched session 1 and session 2, you can go to the description and you can find the link for the previous sessions. So today we'll discuss about decision making statement and the regular expression. So in the decision making we'll see today the if else statement and the switch case statement and the regular expression. So what is a decision making statement? Mainly the conditional construct, a statement that are referred to as logical collections of variables, operators and keyword to perform a specific action. A statement help you to build a logical flow of script. In JavaScript, a statement ends with a semicolon. JavaScript is written in multiple statements wherein the related statements are grouped together, are referred to as block of code, and each block of code is enclosed in the curly braces. So they execute the statement depending on the boolean value. Either they return true or false. So in the decision making statement, JavaScript supports the different types of decision making statements like if else statement and switch case statement. In the if else statement, it's have if statement, if and else statement, if else if statement and switch case statement. So if statement executes a block of statement based on the logical value condition. So if we passed a condition, if the condition is true, if block will execute. If the condition is false, the block of code will not execute and pass to the next immediate statement. So that means the program will start, check the statement if it is true, go to the block if it is false, and go to the next immediate statement. So let's see an example. For example, to start JavaScript, we use the script tag. We declared a variable name quantity. We use the prompt function to accept the input, and once the input has accepted, we'll check if the number is less than 0, that means any negative number, or if it is not a number, is nan means not a number. In that case, it will give a message, please enter a positive number. Else, if it is not true, nothing will be printed because we didn't use any other statement. So let's say if we enter -8, it will say please enter a positive number. Or let's say we have just entered any value, it enter a positive number. But in case if we enter any number, that is fine, no output, because we didn't use any other statement, just if. So you can even use just if statement. So now coming to the next if else statement. So if statement specifies a block of statement to be executed if the condition is true. Sometime it is required to define a block of statement to be executed if the condition is false. In case if does not execute, it will pass the statement to the else block. So let's see an example. We declared a number, first number, we accepted the number from the user. We declared the second variable, that is second number, accepted the input from the user through prompt, and now we just initialize result as 0. We are just comparing if the second number is 0. We just use assignment operator, we just use if second number is 0, then it will return message that cannot divide by 0. But in case the second number is not 0, it will pass to the else block. The first number will divide by the second number and the result would be printed. So let's see the output. The first number 85, that's the second number, if it is 0, that's a message cannot divide by 0. But now if the first number is, let's say, 85, second number is 5, it will divide and return the result. So if it is true, if block will execute. If this condition is not true, it will pass to the else. If it is not true, this will not be printed. This won't work. This block of code will not work and pass to the else. Now next is if else if statement. So, allows you to check a multiple condition. In the previous example, we have seen just one condition, that if it is 0. What if you want to have multiple conditions, like 4 conditions, 2 conditions, 5 conditions, 6 conditions? So in that case, we can use else if for adding the multiple statement. So it is also called as if else if ladder. So let's see an example, it will be more clear. Now subject we just initialize, or you can accept from the user, or you can use the prompt box, you can use the text box to accept. Now if the subject is English, it will print this is an English subject. Else if the subject is physics, it will print it is physics subject. Now how many conditions? You can see the condition 1, second for physics, next condition for chemistry. So you can add multiple conditions using else if. You can add else if number of times, but you have to use if one time, and at the end you should use else. But for adding the conditions, you can use else if and the condition block, else if and the condition block, else if and the condition block. And for example, just suppose if is not true, it will pass to the else if block. If this is not true, pass to the this else if block, and if it is true, it will execute. But even though if it is not true, it will pass to the else and it will display unknown subject. So any one of the block will execute and it will work sequentially. First if, then if it is not true, pass to the else if. If it is not true, pass to the this else if, and finally come to the else in case none of the if statement are true. So now let's go to the next, that is a nested if statement. Consider of multiple if statement within a if statement. So just for example, let's say there is multiple the criteria. Now for example, let's say there is an application for any interview. So if you have 6-year experience, you can enter the interview. So the first eligibility is 6 years. Next, again they are multiple based on your technology. If you know Java, you go in this field. If you know C, go in this field. If you know JavaScript, go in this field. But first criteria was 6 years. So we can have nested if statement. That means outer if and inner if statement. So let's see an example where username will accept the username from the user, where password again will accept the password. In case the first criteria, if username is blank or if the password is blank, the program will stop. So it should not equal to blank. It should not equal to blank. If it is not blank, for example, if you have not entered any username, so that means it's no need to check whether it is true or false. But if we have entered something, that means not blank, we'll check whether your username is admin and the password is pass123. When we'll check this condition, if we have entered something for username and if you have entered something for password, if it is not blank, and if it is not blank, we'll check username is admin and password is pass123. If it is true, we'll say login successful. But in case if it is not true, it will say login failed. So let's run this example and see how it works. Suppose we have entered the password as Sam and as username as Sam and password just nothing, just I'll click OK. No output, because we didn't use anything, no else for the outer. So this is the outer if. For outer if you can see no else, but for inner if else statement there is else. So now let's say username is Sam, password I entered pass123, that is correct, but still login failed. So let's say now I have entered the username as admin and the password as pass123. Now you can see login successful. So this is termed as outer if. If outer if true, come to the inner block. Now let's go to the next statement, that is switch case statement. A program becomes quite difficult to understand when there is a multiple if statement. If there are 6 statements, 7 a multiple statement, you can go for switch case. It simplifies the coding, and to avoid using multiple if statement, switch case statement can be used. Switch case statement allow comparing a variable or expression with multiple values. So let's see an example. We just use grade. We are asking the user to enter the grade, and if the employee entered his grade as A, so salary $21,000. If the user enters the grade B, that is salary $61,000. But let's say for example the user enters the grade D, so it will say invalid grade. So let's try and run this code. Enter the grade is A, salary $21,000. But now even just one, if you enter lowercase a, we have not initialized for lowercase a, that means invalid grade. So even if you want lowercase and uppercase both the option, you need to add case and lowercase a as well. Now even if you enter the uppercase a, same value, lowercase a, same value. So case A, this code will execute. Suppose this will execute if A is not true, come to the B. But for example, if A is true, if case A is true, user has entered grade A, do you still need to check the grade B or C? No. So the loop will just break, the condition will just break and exit from this block. So break statement is used to exit from this block. If A is true, no need to check B, it will just break and come out. If B is true, no need to check another case, come out. But if A is not true, come to the B. B is not true, come to the next, come to the next. And if any case is true, break and come out from that block. So that was the decision making statement, if else and switch case. I'll be sharing you all the examples in the link given in the description. Now we'll start with the regular expression. A regular expression is a pattern that is composed of set of strings which is to be matched to a particular textual content, which allows the handling of textual data, creating as it allows searching and replacing text, validating information, manipulating the string. There are two ways to create a regular expressions. One is the literal syntax and another is the regexp constructor. So in the literal syntax we use as a variable and provide a pattern in a variable. In a regexp constructor we just use a constructor where we initialize the pattern followed by the flag. This is dynamically construct a regular expressions when a script is executed. So it's your choice, either you can use the literal syntax or you can use regexp constructor for any regular expression, for any pattern. Let's say the username should be alphanumeric, or the password should contain 8 letters, password should contain the numbers, it should contain uppercase, lowercase, for any pattern. So the categories of the pattern should be position matching, character classes, repetitions, alternations, and the grouping, and the back reference. So let's see this all the categories one by one. Position matching. The character or symbols in this category allows matching a substring that exists at a specific position within a string. For example, this is a position. If you use the symbol that specifies the start of a string, dollar specifies the end of the string, \b which specifies the word boundary, uppercase B it specifies non-word boundary. Then the character classes. The characters or the symbols in this category are combined to form the character specifying patterns. So these classes may be, in the square bracket you use x, y, z. That means it should be x, it should be y, or it should be z. It should not be any other letter apart from x, y, z. Then this not, in the square bracket, this is the not I used, not x, y, z, matches one of the characters are specified one of the character set. For example, if I use this, that means matches R, RT, but not B, because not B. This means not B, not C. Dot means denotes a character except for the new line and a line terminator. \w it means a matches a alphabet and digit along with the underscore. Alphabet, that means A to Z, and the digit 0 to 9 and underscore. You got it if you use lowercase w. If you're using uppercase W, that means it's a non-word character. It's a non-word character, just opposite of lowercase w. So it should not be alphabet, number, or underscore. For example, if I used \uppercase W, that means in 800 it will just match percentage. 800 is a number. It should not be a number, it should not be an alphabet, it should not be underscore. So now \d it means a digit 0 to 9, uppercase D it's a non-digit, lowercase s that means any string, any single space character including a tab, space, form field, a new line, or any. Then uppercase S means non-space characters which should not contain any space. If it is space, it does not match. Coming to the next, that is repetition. If you want to repeat, characters or symbols in this category allow matching the characters that reappears, that reappear again. So if you are specifying within the curly braces any number, that means it should repeat exactly that number. So that means \d, that means digit, exactly 6 digit, like telephone number, it may be 9 digit, 10 digit, you can specify. Then if you are using like this, that means x, the first number is minimum, the second is maximum. So I used S 4 comma, that means 4 is the minimum. Maximum I didn't specify anything, so maximum no limit. So lowercase s is for white space, so that means 4 white space, not more, minimum 4 white space. X and y, the x specifies the minimum limit and y specifies maximum limit. So lowercase d, so minimum 6 digit number and maximum 8 digit number. Question mark means minimum 0 or maximum 1 occurrences. Asterisk means minimum 0 to multiple occurrences. Question mark means minimum 1, minimum 0, maximum 1. Asterisk means minimum 0, maximum multiple times. Now alternation and grouping. So if you're using the characters or the symbols in this category, allowed to group some of the classes, some of the character classes. So I have grouped XYZ plus UVY. That means one or more numbers occurrences of XYZ and UVW. This specify or, the pipe operator specifies or. So either XY or UV or ST. Back reference. The character or symbol in this category allow grouping characters as an individual entity or adding as or logical pattern. So it matches, like for example /W S or 1. It matches a parenthesized set within the pattern where n is the number of parenthesis sets. So what is the numbers? So I'll demonstrate an example that will be suitable for you. Now we have done the repetitions or the character classes or the different patterns we have seen. To execute any pattern, to apply any pattern in reg expression, that means a regular expression, reg exp, that is the object, that means a regular expression. It supports two methods, test and execute. Test, and we pass the string that tests a string for matching a pattern and returns a boolean value, true or false. The boolean value indicates whether the pattern exists or not. Exec, that means executes a string to search the pattern within this. Execute which pattern? The pattern specified. The method returns a null value. Just be careful, this will return a true or false, but execute will return a null value if the pattern is not found. So what is the difference? Test will return true or false, and execute exec will return a null if it is not found, and in case it is found, it will return the result set. So let's see an example. Now I have just created one form. So if you have done already HTML, you know how to design a form, not a big task. So but now the main thing I'm going to do in the form is I have applied some pattern. What is the pattern I have applied? So the first, coming to the name. So name should be a alphanumeric. Name should be a alphanumeric, like this example, John Smith is just an example. So name should be an alphabet, not alphanumeric. So the name should be an alphabet. Minimum 2 letters name. Minimum, we cannot have a letter name as A. Minimum, let's say 2, or minimum 3 letters, 4 letters you can specify. So now name valid, let's say I have used var pat1, that means just a pattern I have specified. This is the start of my pattern. I used /d, that means non-digit, that means any word. Minimum 2 letter, maximum no limit. Minimum name should be 2, maximum no limit. Now how can I accept the value from this text box? This text box name is name. This text box name is name, and it's inside the form 1. Again I'll repeat, it's that this text field is inside form 1 with the field name. So I'm going to use var variable name is equal to pat1, that means this pattern dot exec, execute with form 1, my form name, dot name, that means my text field name, text box name, dot value. So that it will accept the value of my text box inside form 1, and it will execute with this pattern. Now we have already discussed exec will return null if it does not match. So if this name pattern is null, it's going to print an image, show an image. So you can see I have just used next to the name img id img1. So I use the img. So document dot get element by id, document dot get element by id, which id img1. So I'll accept that id dot src. On that id I'll place an error dot png image. So this image is there, so I'll place that image if it is null, but in case if it is very fine, I'll place no image. So I'll show you an example. For example, I've entered the name as 56. It's showing me this cross sign. But let's see, if I entered one letter J, it's not. But I've entered Joe, that is fine. 2 letter minimum. So similarly, that is for just alphabet. Next, I have specified for, let's say, the user name. Let's say the telephone number, that is the telephone number must be start with the number. This is start and this is the end. Start with number 0 to 9. It should contain 0 to 9 and just 10 digit, not less, not more. So if I enter 10 digit, that is fine. If I does not enter 10 digit, it will show me an error. So form 1, my text box name is tel.value and it will execute with this pattern. So pat4.exe match with this text box. If it is returning if this is returning a null, that means the pattern does not match and show an error image. But in case if it is not returning a null, that means it's matched, no image. If you want, you can show any correct image like tick mark, a green color tick or anything. Now coming to the username, let's say for example I've used the username. My username is, I use the function called user valid. I used on change. On change means as soon as I enter into the text field and come to the next field, my function will execute. I repeat, I just enter into the text field. I just enter into the text field and I'm just coming out. As soon as I come out, it will work. That means on change. As soon as I change the text box, it will work. So now calling here, I've used image id name 2 img2 on the user valid function. So now in the user valid, I used the pattern. It should starts with A to Z. Starts with A to Z. Uppercase A to Z, lowercase a to Z, or 0 to 9 underscore at the rate dot hash backspace ampersand plus minus. It can be anything. And I used asterisk, that means it can occur multiple times. It can occur multiple times. So the password should be alphanumeric. Minimum 1, maximum no limit. So password should be alphanumeric. So if this pattern is null, return an PNG, otherwise no image. My username, the text box name is USR name. So for example, let's say the username is H. So minimum nothing. I just use asterisk, that means minimum 0, maximum no limit. So it can be, let's say, just Samir. It's fine, but even it can be Samir 12 if Samir is already took by someone. If Samir is not available, I can use username Samir at the rate 12, any symbol which are specified. Now next is for the password. Now coming to the password, let's say for example we want minimum 1. Let's say we want minimum 1 character, minimum 1 letter, pass minimum alphanumeric, something like that. So I used the password box name as pass and I called pass valid on change. And I used the img id3. So let's go back and let's work on this. How, let's say for pass valid, in the pass valid function, what is the pattern? Question mark. Let's be careful. Question mark, that means minimum 1, maximum, minimum 0, maximum 1 is dot asterisk A to Z. That means it should be A to Z. It's compulsory. Then it should also be uppercase A to Z. Then it should also contain 0 to 9. It should also contain any of this symbol, and it should contain minimum 8, maximum no limit. So this specifies that 0, minimum 1, maximum no limit. Repeat, minimum 0, maximum no limit. So now I used dot concatenate. That means, this means if you are using this together, that means minimum 1, maximum no limit. You can use A to Z 5 times, but you have to use at least 1 time. This means again minimum 1 together means minimum 1, maximum no limit. So you have to use uppercase A to Z minimum 1 time, maximum no limit. You have to use 0 to 9 minimum 1, maximum no limit. You have to use any of this symbol minimum 1 time, maximum no limit, and you have to use 8 letters password. So I already showed you, I told you I'll show the examples of all the pattern. I used bracket for the grouping of the pattern. So now let's say I used my password as, let's say, P. I used P, showing me error. Now let's say pass at the rate 1, 2, 3. Even it's showing me error. Why? Because everything is lower. So I'll change the P to uppercase. Now that is fine. So it should be lowercase, uppercase, numbers and symbols. Minimum 1, maximum no limit. So I used pass at the rate 1, 2, 3. That means 8 letters minimum. So if it is true, if it is returning null, the image 3 will show an error image. If it is true, no image. Or you can use any other image. Let's say if it is true, green color tick or anything. Now next is my password and confirm password should match. So how I can accept? It's a very simple thing. Just you need to accept. You should know, let's say my password box name is pass, confirm password text box name is cpass. Now if pass is equal, now on change, in confirm password on change, I'm calling a function called pass match. I'm calling a function called pass match. Let's go to the pass match, which says pass1, that is form1 text box name pass dot value, form1 cpass dot value. So accept the cpass confirm password value in pass2, password value in pass1. Now if password not equal to confirm password, that is pass2, if does not match, so it will show an error image. But in case if it is matched, no image. So the text box of pass and confirm password should match. Here I used not equal to. If it is not equal, you show an error. If it is equal, nothing. So I hope this example was clear. I'll share you all the examples in the description. I'll give a link in the description where you can download all the examples. So thank you for watching. Soon we can see the session 4 in the upcoming days.